We are now live. Welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willy Bragg. We have on guest tonight here, Darrell Hylton, and I'll let Darrell Hylton introduce himself, and then we'll take it from there. Take it away, Darrell.
Hello, this is Darrell Hylton. Um, I do I do a YouTube channel too, and nice to be on the Willy Bragg show. First time on.
You want to give a little bit of a background about yourself, or?
Um, yeah, I mainly had longtime viewers of the Willy Bragg show. I pretty much have around the same political views as him. Um, I run a YouTube channel under my name, Darrell Hylton, and I do political commentary also.
Yeah, and at the end of the show, I'm going to put down a link for Darrell Hylton's channel. So I hope everybody watching this will subscribe to his channel. He's got pretty good perspective on politics, and I think if you appreciate my perspective, I believe you will appreciate his as well. And I remember how we both got acquainted. I think it was in maybe 2019. Maybe we were both on a Facebook, a very terrible Facebook group called Undeterred Soapbox Alphas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I decided to go back there once again, reluctantly, because I was kicked out of there in 2012. I was kicked out of there, and somebody told me that I wasn't kicked out of there, and I said yes, I was. It was one of the founders of the group, so I decided to go back on, and it was the same creeps that were there several years ago, still being the same assholes as they were, and we both got kicked out of that group. And these are the people that claim they're free speech and free speech absolutists and all of that.
Yeah. I find it really funny when a group of people call themselves free speech absolutists on a group or something, and you say or post something that they don't like, they automatically cancel you.
Oh, they were definitely cancel culture assholes for sure.
They need their safe space.
It is definitely their safe space, and I don't mind saying this. Fuck Undeterred Soapbox Alpha. Fuck them all in there. Fuck them all to hell. I mean, because they're assholes.
I was in a group called Let's Go Brandon, and they kicked me out of there just recently.
Here's the thing. I mean, as far as the sentiment of Let's Go Brandon, I'm with the sentiment of Let's Go Brandon, but not for the reason that most people are. I mean, I say Let's Go Brandon from the left.
Same here.
Yeah. Let's go Brandon from the left. Not let's go Brandon from their perspective. Let's go Brandon from the left. And I'm finally glad to see somebody. I'm not going to blame Democrats who are trying to do the right thing for settling for the lesser evil, even though I couldn't bring myself to vote for Biden. I'm not going to blame them for doing the lesser evil vote, trying to think I can see why they thought they were going to get a return out of this. And I did think we were going to get a $15 hour minimum wage out of this. I did think we were going to get that much. Nothing. We got nothing from Joe Biden and the Democrats. Nothing. And the Democrats going to wonder why they got themselves destroyed in November.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. I think it was like one of Biden's press conferences or something. A bunch of people were there chanting, "Do something."
I mean, he's so horrible. He's just a horrible person. I mean, even when he does something good, like pull the troops out of Afghanistan, then he ruins it by trying to get our country involved in the conflict in the Ukraine. And I think it's for two reasons. Myself, I think one is because of the Hunter Biden connection in the Ukraine. I'm not just because that's being uttered by the right wing doesn't make me compliant with the right wing. Sometimes the stop clock gets the right time twice a day. And I also believe because Hillary Clinton is mad because she has it in her head that Donald Trump became president with the assistance of Vladimir Putin. So it's a double thing there. It's payback time to Vladimir Putin. And they're going to cost World War III for that reason. So anyhow, I'm just tired. I'm even gotten frustrated with the squad and even old Bernie, who I still respect, but I'm been more frustrated with him than I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, you did a good job starting the movement, but when it came down to brass tacks, it seemed like he just didn't back when they had protests and stuff. It seemed like he didn't back up what he initially told them to do.
Mm-hmm. I think that the movement probably did more to raise a ruckus in the Democratic Party, but they got to a point where they hit a brick wall and they can't get through that brick wall, and their hands are tied. I still say that their hands are tied to an extent, but I still think they could do more, and they're scared to be written off as the next Ralph Nader. And I can see why activists are upset as hell with Bernie and with the squad. And I'm with the activists who are upset with Bernie and the squad. And I try being patient as I could be with them. I try, and if they do good, if they do something proactive and good, I'm gonna give them credit for it. But when they fuck up, they need to be held accountable too.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I follow a few YouTube channels that try to keep them accountable. But some YouTube channels just keep going along with the squad and keep telling people to vote Democrat.
The difference, I guess, I'm going to do a video once I can learn how to do a chart with little slots, little tile slots. I'm planning to do a video where I'm going to take all the major online leftist channels and kind of divide on where they're at in each section of the online left of all of BreadTube. The boutique left, which is boutique left, which is dirtbag left. The ones that are sort of in both categories, and there's even a couple of them that are not. They shouldn't even belong to BreadTube that are considered part of BreadTube. So and I think that would be kind of an interesting little neat thing to do. So people kind of know the difference within the online left and where everybody's coming from, perspective wise and all.
Yeah.
So as I said, I just but there's a lot of infighting and everything. But I've noticed that lately. For example, I've noticed that even some on the boutique left are getting a little bit fed up with the ineffectiveness of the squad and Bernie. I'm like, okay, where have y'all been all along? Because I've noticed for a while it was like everybody was like, okay, we're going to be a team player. We're going to be a team player, and we're going to try to work with the Democrats, and hopefully it'll be a give and take. They gave, and I mean, they gave to the Democrats, and the Democrats did not give back. So and it's just it's frustrating as hell. I mean, Build Back Better. There should not have been a reason why Build Back Better. Well, the good parts of Build Back Better. It wasn't perfect, but things like lowering Medicare eligibility down to 60, prescription drug reforms, free community college, labor law reforms. There's no reason why some of that couldn't have passed. None of it had passed.
Yeah. I guess the infrastructure that was like really cut down before it passed.
Yeah, and that's usually a lot of corporate welfare. It seems like.
Yeah, this country needs some major infrastructure improvements.
Oh my God, tell me about it. I mean, just tell me about it. And then with the high gas prices, they were talking about getting rid of the gas tax. And I mean, that was a Rush Limbaugh solution 20 years ago. He was talking about getting rid of the gas tax. And it proves my point that the Democrats would rather take a right-wing solution to a crisis than to go and look leftwards. Because like with Obamacare was created by the Heritage Foundation. Yeah. They didn't get the perspective of people from Physicians for a National Health Program, which calls for establishment of a single payer Medicare for all system. Oh, we couldn't do that. We'll go with a Heritage Foundation plan. Make people buy their own private health insurance.
Yeah, it's like that. Speaking of health insurance, that lady from Convo Couch,
Fiorella.
Yeah, she's over. I'm not sure if she moved over there or she's visiting.
Oh no, she permanently moved. Fiorella Isabel. She moved permanently to Russia. She's now resident of Moscow.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
because she was on the Jimmy Dore show the other day, and she said she's got free health care over there.
Yeah, when the Soviet Union ceased to exist, and this is true of most former communist countries in the Eastern Bloc, the one thing most of them didn't get rid of was the healthcare system.
Oh, and, okay.
You know, even Hungary and Poland, which are probably one of the most right-wing countries in the Western world today, more right-wing than the United States, and Overton window-wise, still will grant things like the free medical care for their citizens and everything. I mean, even in Israel, which you know is problematic toward the Palestinians, they've always provided free medical care for their population. So what the hell's the matter with the United States that they can't seem to meet that basic function here in this country?
Yeah, I guess we're the only nation in the world that doesn't offer free Medicare for all.
Yeah, in the industrialized, in the Western world, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. In Africa, only one country really provided free medical care for the population until 2011, and that was Libya under Muammar Gaddafi. And I used to think that Muammar Gaddafi was a horrible person, and not saying that he was a saint before when the government was toppled, but I found out certain things. I mean, the country, as much as I hated George W. Bush, they did lift the sanctions away from Libya, and Libya was no longer considered a terrorist state, even by the Bush administration. And so, and Libya was got rid of their bio weapons and their nuclear. I mean, I don't think they had nuclear, but their chemical weapons and their weapons of mass destruction and some of the really bad stuff that they were potentially going to do. They got rid of all that. And they were an oil producing country. They had enough oil. They provided universal basic income to their citizens. They had socialized medicine. It was a socialistic economy comparable to Yugoslavia in the 1970s under the Tito government. and there was little poverty in. It might have had the highest standard of living in Africa at the time, and it was a fairly secular country. Libya was, and now it went into chaos. And with Hillary as the Secretary of State, just encouraging the toppling of that government. Now, is the country went to chaos, that they have slavery these days. So she's just as much of a war criminal as George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, as far as I'm concerned. Just on that alone.
Yeah, I think we're still messing with Libya till this day. I think.
Of course we are. I mean, I did give Biden just a tiny bit of credit yesterday on the gas prices lowering at the pump, and that's because they eased the restriction of sanctions against Venezuela, and the neocons are hating that. But why the hell should we buy oil from Saudi Arabia? Who they encourage terrorism against the West. All your terrorism from the Middle East, most of it comes out of, and it's encouraged by Saudi Arabia, and that's the country that the United States sucks up to the most in that region. And they're the country that actually does the terrorism. Iran hardly does any terrorism against the West. I'm not endorsing the government, but they hardly do any, and we kick them around all the time. And Donald Trump basically walked the U.S. away from the peace treaty, and we could get cheaper oil probably from Iran if we were to play nice with them. I mean, I'm glad that we eased the restrictions in Venezuela. I think we should ease all restrictions in Venezuela. And I've said that human rights level, Venezuela is a hell of a lot better on the human rights scale than Saudi Arabia ever could be.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever I thought of Tulsi Gabbard in the last few years, she was correct during the Trump years when she said that Trump is Saudi Arabia's bitch. Remember when she used to say that?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. And she still got it correct occasionally, even though I'm a little hard on her sometimes. But sometimes I had to remember that even though she's changed a little bit, she's still kind of correct on certain things, and I can't take that away from her.
Yeah. I've been watching her videos here recently. She's had some good valid points. I know we probably disagree with her on that one subject where she was kind of going against the LGBT community.
Well, she's against the women, transgender women in sports, and I think she needs some growing up on that issue. To me, and I've said this on that issue, I'm a very simple person. Human rights is human rights, and when it comes to human rights, it means that everybody's entitled to equality. That includes the transgender community. So you make accommodations, you allow transgender women to engage in the sports. That means transgender women should be allowed to compete with biologically born women. Transgender men, same thing with biologically born men, and let the best person win in regard. Sometimes it will be the transgender individual, sometimes it won't be. And if that's still problematic, here's the thing: then don't have a gender-based sports. Just have a sports event, regardless. With again, somebody in whatever gender spectrum is going to win or lose, and that way there won't be any discrimination. But the point of the game is to not have discrimination, to make it so that there is no discrimination. No special rights, but no discrimination. Definitely no discrimination.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true, but what their claims are is that transgender women that that are in the process of transitioning from a man to a woman are getting into those sports and mopping the floor with the women athletes. That's their whole claim. I don't know if it's true or not.
Well, okay. If Jesse Ventura decided tomorrow to enter a sports team, as Jesse Ventura, we know Jesse Ventura today, and he says, "I'm a woman tomorrow." I mean,
Yeah.
okay. I'll be like, no. But obviously, if somebody's gone through the process and they're obviously on their way toward becoming a woman at that point, and all that, and they're meeting the requirements and everything, then don't politicize, don't make a culture war issue out of this.
Yeah.
And that's what some people are doing, and unfortunately some progressives has fallen into the right-wing trap, and I wish that they wouldn't. I mean, they wouldn't, because the right wing will try to go and create ask a question in the most unusual scenario to try to trap you in there. And it comes down to just being for human rights. And I will tell all leftists, just remain diligent, because I will compare it to blacks in the service, integrating the armed service. Everybody said you can't do the social experiments. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks twice about gays or lesbians in the military forces today. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just any adjustment needs to be taken. Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's not being woke, it's being for human rights, I mean, and that's what it comes down to. And if being for human rights means being woke, well, fuck those who think being woke that's being woke. Because I mean, I'm not woke, I'm anti-woke, I'm as anti-woke as they come on the left, but I'm for human rights at the end of the day.
Yeah. I'm all for people having freedom no matter what they want to do, as long as they're not hurting anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, and so, and I even tell people in the early when they give me the religious liberties issue on that issue, I'll be like, look, to the evangelicals, I'm like, you got a right to hate who you want to hate. If you want to hate them, fine. You don't have a right to discriminate against them. You don't have a right to make sure that society treats these people like third-class citizens. Oh, you got a right to go to your church and say they're horrible people. You have a right to do that, but you don't have a right to. You don't have a right to go and make sure they're discriminated against and throw them back into the way it used to be prior to the 1980s or the early 1990s.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm standing on that. But that's how they do with this culture war thing. I've said this, that I don't want to make it about Democrats and Republicans, because that's a game in a lot of ways. The culture wars being a game played by both parties. I mean, I do focus on the Republican culture war being bullshit, but there is a Democratic Party bullshit perspective too. But I tell people, when it comes to the culture war in the Republican Party, what do they have to offer? Nothing. They give us a culture war, and then in exchange for voting for Republicans? Tax breaks for the wealthy that most of us won't qualify for.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else? Deregulations that endanger people in the workplace, or lift protections against consumers. Union busting, which basically destroy or stagnate wages. Mean testing Social Security, Medicare, VA benefits, and which creates resentment and turns these universal entitlements into welfare programs to make it easier to demonize. And my dad is an example, a victim of it, because my dad, quote unquote, just to pay for the Iraq War, the Republicans basically decided to means test the VA program. So my dad can't, even though my dad is a veteran, my dad can't qualify for any of the VA benefits because he makes too much money.
Hmm.
That's a slap in the face to all veterans.
Yeah. Oh, that's why the veterans service got all screwed up.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
and and Democrats, they do the same thing. Like with Roe versus Wade got overturned. I mean, I think the Democrats were actually happy that Roe versus Wade got overturned because Nancy Pelosi can fundraise
Yeah.
And they're thinking, they don't have to talk about this Medicare for all anymore. They don't have to talk about unions anymore or raising the minimum wage. We could just talk about abortion rights from now on and focus on that. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
God bless her, AOC got arrested and she pretended to be handcuffed. Do you see that?
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, she got arrested yesterday at this protest regarding Roe versus Wade, and it was performative. She got arrested, and then they handcuffed her. Well, she wasn't handcuffed, but she looked like she was handcuffed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, was it kind of like when she wore that dress to the Met Gala?
Yeah. Oh, the Chick-fil-A dress.
The Tax the Rich dress.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, she deserved to be made fun of for definitely for that one. So, anyhow, so how is everything politically in your neck of the woods in Ohio?
I haven't really much paid attention to local politics much. Actually, I need to start doing so. Start voting for people that actually represents this town, because this town is going to hell in a handbag due to corrupt local politicians. This used to be a thriving tourist town, and it's went downhill since the 90s.
Yeah. North Carolina's kind of a strange state in that regard because I live just outside of Raleigh, and if you're in Raleigh or in any proximity around Raleigh, it's a hustling, bustling area. The traffic is crazy because it's where everything is booming. Housing is expensive, rent's expensive, the roads are crowded. And it's kind of like a major urbanized area now, comparable. Research Triangle Park is comparable to a Chicago, New York, Los Angeles in some ways. Maybe a little smaller than those places, but comparable in many ways, in my view. But then anything outside of it, outside of the Research Triangle Park, the Triad area, the Charlotte area, anything outside of that is like a lot of farmland, a lot of like just rotting towns. I mean, that had textiles or tobacco that was like the bread and butter of that area. A lot of those places just look economically depressed, and you go to the town area. I mean, what looked like was like a lot of Woolworths and everything in the 50s. It's just theaters, whatever. Everything just looks decrepit. It just looks like it almost looks like a ghost town. A lot of the small towns in between the big cities in this state is really depressing looking.
Yeah, that doesn't help that our leaders keep passing NAFTA bills outsourcing our manufacturing jobs.
Well, yeah, that's part of it right there. That's part of it. I warned people 30 years ago what would happen. I warned them what would happen, and things were bad back then, and it's gotten worse. And
yeah, they crushed unions while doing so.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just, and I'm gonna tell you, I mean, I've been out of the union job for the past 4 years, and then there's it's a difference night and day, because when you're in a union job, you have rights that you don't have in a non-union job. My health insurance, I'm paying more for health insurance, and I'm getting less coverage, paying more out of my pocket. and it wasn't that way with my previous job. And I had a special rights in my union job that I didn't have. And if somebody pissed me off in my union job, I could shout back at those above me and even cuss them out and not get fired for it. So, there, anybody tells me we don't need unions, they're full of shit.
Yeah, I know a couple people. I know one, but the other person is like a friend of a friend. What they were talking about, working at places that are unionized, and they're actually they were talking about places that were unionized, but they have like temporary workers come in, and the people that are unionized get paid pretty decent, and the temps come in and I guess they don't have a union option for them or something, and they don't get paid as good as the workers that are unionized there.
Oh, I know that feeling. For a few years, I actually did temp work for a while. Even though those jobs weren't unionized, those jobs, if you were to got in permanently, would have actually played fairly well. And a couple of jobs that were for the state of North Carolina, and a couple of jobs in the private sector. But the temporary agencies, and a lot of people don't address that, but temp agencies are designed to prevent opportunities for people.
Yeah.
Is to prevent seniority, to prevent a good wage, to prevent benefits.
Yeah.
And it's just to make workers expendable. And I think that it should be. I actually think they should if I had it my way, I would ban temp agencies in this country.
Yeah, I think they're a scam to for companies to get away with not paying their employees right.
Yeah, if you need somebody temporarily instead of a temp agency, because temp agencies exist. The people who are making money are the people at the temp agencies. People, I think that maybe as a compromise to let people know up front, this is a temporary position to contract maybe, and to provide maybe some benefits and to make it worthwhile. They don't. I may understand if they don't want to provide seniority, what have you, but at least pay them their benefits and give them some of the perks that everybody else has. If you're going to go and put them in there temporarily, but this is an opportunity to deprive people of a decent wage and to deprive people of benefits and everything, and I have a problem with that.
Yeah, they put them in there, and they got to work about, I think it's like 2 or 3 months to even be eligible to be hired in full time.
Oh yeah. I worked at the airport in Raleigh Durham. I did temp work at the Raleigh Durham airport for about a year, and they never hired me. Actually, I made a lot of money because I had all the overtime I want, because the overtime, when measured with the benefits that the permanent employees had and everything, they didn't mind me working those amount of hours. So I was working 65 hours a week and everything. I hardly had it. I had like maybe one day off a week or something like that. But I was like working 65, 70 hours a week. I was exhausted. I mean, I ended up working one day 24 hours and 45 minutes. I mean, I was on the clock for 24 hours. Over 24 hours I was on the clock.
Damn.
Yeah. it was a line of work where they just needed a warm body. So I mean, that was the upside of it, but but still, I mean, you're on the clock that long.
Yeah.
You know, that was back in the 90s. When I was younger, in my 20s, I could withstand. My hair was darker, and I was physically stronger back then. I was in my 20s, so I could withstand. I could withstand that back then, but I don't know if I could do that these days. But that's fine. I got less than 9 years before I retire anyway. So, and I'm so looking forward to retiring.
Yeah.
I got some hobbies and things like that I'll, I'm planning to move out of this area. I'm hoping I'll move out of this area before long anyway, because this area, I would not recommend North Carolina to people. Everybody seems to love it from out of the state. I don't know why, but I wouldn't recommend North Carolina personally.
Yeah.
Visiting is fine. And there are places to visit in North Carolina. Central part of North Carolina. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go visit North Carolina, Raleigh, I mean, I guess there's a merit to seeing Raleigh. There's a merit to seeing Chapel Hill, places like that. But if I were to recommend North Carolina, I'll tell people you can't go wrong with the Outer Banks. You can't go wrong with the mountains. You can't go wrong. And I'm happy with the mountains because in Boone, North Carolina, they unionized their first Starbucks coffee. And that was pretty damn awesome. So next time I'm in Boone, I'm going to go to Starbucks for lunch while I'm there, because I made a promise to patronize any Starbucks which is unionized, and that's the only unionized Starbucks so far in North Carolina. So right now, as we speak, hopefully more unionized Starbucks to come.
Yeah, another company that needs to unionize is Amazon.
Yeah, what's his name? Chris Smalls.
Yeah.
I mean, now he's badass. I mean,
Yeah.
he was able to unionize the Amazon in Staten Island. That was a major breakthrough.
Yeah.
And
I guess they're still trying to fight him every step of the way.
Yeah, but I mean, even a lot of the major unions dismiss the Amazon labor union that he created. I mean, it was patched up, homegrown, and he was able to do what the establishment unions weren't able to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty damn awesome. It's funny, AOC was trying to take credit for that, and she was nowhere to be seen. With regard to the unionization effort at Amazon. Then she got guilt into it, and now she's starting to help Kristen Small. Again, I'm going to praise her in the sense that she decided to go and help out with Kristen Small after the fact. And okay, so when she does something good, that's where I'm going to praise her. But she got tripped into it. And I'm glad she got guilt tripped into it. I had no problems seeing her being guilt tripped into it. She needed to be guilt tripped into this.
Yeah. I just wish you would have done that with the forced vote thing.
Thank you, my friend.
On the Medicare for all.
Yeah, there was no reason. I mean, and I'll tell you why. It seemed like, that did seem to divide the online left, but and I think that kind of seeped over with the squad, and I think that maybe the squad were listening too much to those within the online left who were against forced vote, and it's because they just simply did not like Jimmy Dore, and wherever you stand on Jimmy Dore, whether you like him, you hate him, what have you. Yeah, and I mean, there's some things Jimmy Dore says and do that I don't particularly appreciate, but as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to a forced vote, he will always be forever correct on that issue. Yeah. Sam Cedar was originally in agreement with Jimmy Dore. Of all people, Sam Cedar was one of the people that was actually in agreement. Then he turned against them, and that was ridiculous. But I know that Kyle. I think it was Kyle was with Forced to Vote. And I'm sorry, just Young Turks. They were for it, then they were against it, and it just. And it was ridiculous how everybody ended up sniping at each other over some, and this is what I tell people about Force to Vote. The argument is if we go and try to do Force to Vote, we'll probably end up not getting Medicare for all. So it's better to play nice. Well, playing nice didn't get us health care.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with punishing Nancy Pelosi and punishing the corporate Democrats. I mean, pardon the language of it. I'm for, if you don't play nice, I'm for tearing the burn, figuratively speaking, burning the whole goddamn thing down. Figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
They got to learn. They got to learn that if you don't play ball, the Tea Party did this. They forced the Republicans. To play ball with them, and it seems like with the leftists in the Democratic Party, they're supposed to be in the insurgents. They don't do that. They're scared to be written off as the next Ralph Nader.
Yeah, we need them to act like the Tea Party and get shit done.
And that's what Justice Democrats was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the Tea Party of the left. That it was created, modeled kind of after the Tea Party, but it was supposed to be for the left.
Yeah.
A hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. That sounded pretty damn good years ago. I was like, and it sounded like it had some potential to work. And then eventually it didn't. And so, I mean, I used to be a 90% independent, 10% Democrat voter. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, right now, I'm not going to tell people how to vote. If somebody feels like voting in the Democratic Party can still change, good luck. I'm not going to go and vote shame them. But I have to be 100% independent now. I mean, I just... this 10% lesser evil politics doesn't cut it for me anymore.
Yeah, I know a few people that voted for Biden in the last election. I don't fault them or nothing. I just try to stay friends with them.
I mean, as I said, it's nothing personal. I mean, I'm not going to. I'm not going to go. I mean, I'm not even going to shit on somebody that voted for Trump. I mean, I'm not that kind of a person. But I'm just. I just, for me, when it comes to strategy, I mean, well, all this left wing infighting, we're all for this. Whether you're the gray zone or whether you're David Pakman, I know that's as far apart on the online left as you can be. But where do they really differ at the end of the day? And they all try to act like they're so fucking different. All these online leftist groups, the big ones and the small ones, they try to act like they're all so different. And they got a different perspective, a different, they got certain little differences that are to be acknowledged. But when it comes to the basics, the big things, they're for the same, pretty much the same thing. When it comes to healthcare, when it comes to free college, getting us out of these neocon wars, a Green New Deal, labor law reforms, criminal justice reform, basically to eliminate the racism that exists within law enforcement. I mean, we're all for these things. And where do we differ on these things? Whether you're David Pakman or whether you're Jimmy Dore or whether you're the Young Turks or the Gray Zone, where do they all differ?
Yeah. Only thing that drives me nuts is when some of them on the online left pretty much tells people to play nice with the Democratic Party, don't challenge them, keep keep voting for them, keep fundraising for them. They're doing nothing for you. That's the only thing that drives me nuts.
Yeah. As I said, I mean, whatever people's strategy think works. Let them do their own strategy. I just think that nobody should criticize the. I mean, well, in my opinion, I think it's counterproductive to sit there, to criticize, but where everybody can unite. Unite. Like, for example, when Crystal Ball was on Bill Maher about a month ago, and
Seen that.
Yeah, she destroyed him on stage.
Yeah.
He deserved it.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Me too. And the online left, everybody like cheered her for this. Yeah. That was one of those rare moments right there where there was hardly any differing from the major people on the online left. I mean, everybody was like, "Way to go, Crystal!" I mean, and we need more of that. I mean, that was probably the most unified thing I've seen since the Bernie Sanders campaign in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they should all like get together and have an open dialogue, like Kyle Klinsky and Jimmy Dore. They all get together in like a boardroom or in a room or something, have a conversation, find things that they agree on, and figure out how to start a coalition to enact change in the Democratic Party.
Well, I mean, I'm not even against the Young Turks being involved with this. I just think there's a lot of ego involved in everything, and with the Young Turks, they just need to get rid of that Katzenberg money. That's my contention with TYTs, the Katzenberg money.
Yeah.
Clinton money is dirty money. Whenever you get the Clinton fingerprints on anything, it's dirty.
Yeah, it seems like every time Anna Kasparian makes a rant about the Democratic Party, it's like Ratzenberg. I think that's the name of them.
Yep, Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Yeah, Jeffrey Katzenberg gets on the phone with her, and the next day she's backpedaling.
I came to I guess you saw the latest. Oh, you saw that. Her going off yesterday. I mean, I think that one video she did recently, it came to my mind that I think that is maybe now it's the new grift on TYT. I think that they realize they're probably losing a section of their audience, and I think this is a way to try to win back some of that audience that they're losing. And that's what it's all about. I mean, I think maybe to a degree she might mean it, but I also think that is a working. It's something that will work, or they see potential in it working. And here's the thing to do: go back to what worked in the beginning. Go back to what worked a decade ago. Don't. It was a mistake to accept that cash back in 2015, 2016, whenever they did that. I mean, I can understand having money being flashed in your face. I know that the temptation was there, but it was at the same time, it just kind of left a bad taste, and it led to the split in a lot of ways that you see on the online left, which was kind of cohesive back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like that the only thing on the online that was going on that was toxic was were basically some identity politics fighting on Tumblr.
Yeah.
So I mean that seemed to have been the thing that was going on. Other than that, seemed like everybody, and we were all on the same page on Julian Assange. And even on Julian Assange, the online left were divided. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? I mean, and you got the right who were all for killing them 10 years ago. Now some of them are like, yeah, let's go and pardon them. Just kind of like, and I'm okay with if they want to pardon him now. I'm okay with anybody who wants to pardon Julian Assange. But I mean, where were they 10 years ago when he needed their help?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still want my position on Assange never changed. I was for Julian Assange 10 years ago. I am still for Julian Assange.
Yeah.
For Ed Snowden then. I'm still for Ed Snowden now.
Yeah.
I was for Chelsea Manning then. I'm still for Chelsea Manning now.
I haven't heard much about. I know, rightfully so that Assange is dominating the news cycles, but I haven't heard much about Edward Snowden here lately.
He lives in Russia. I know that's the only thing I know about him. He lives in Russia. Now, Julian Assange, I don't much think that there will. I don't think there's going to be a trial against Julian Assange once he reaches the United States, because once there's a trial, there will be a lot of publicity that the United States government. He might actually still remain in England. Is my opinion, because to bring him to the United States will bring a lot of unwanted publicity that the United States don't want about that trial, and so you'll be seeing protests here in the United States. They're a little louder in other countries. Other countries are more concerned about Julian Assange than people here in the United States, seemingly. But you'll be a lot of protests and a lot of political discussions that the mainstream politicians of this country do not want to have.
I know. One of the guys from the Gray Zone pretty much said that if the United States executes Julian Assange on charges or anything, it's pretty much a slap in the face and the free press.
Absolutely. And
this guy said this at a conference right to the media's face, the mainstream media's face. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. I get criticized occasionally when I bring up the subject of Julian Assange, because whenever I bring up the subject of Julian Assange, it's kind of like, he's a Russian asset. He's a Russian agent. I mean, I'm like, oh, that subject still. I mean, it's ridiculous.
The big one is that he put troops in harm's way. One of the leading sergeants in the army pretty much debunked that one.
As far as I'm concerned, Julian Assange is a hero, and I wish we had more Julian. He's basically the Daniel Ellsberg of our generations. Yeah. I mean, and I think that the WikiLeaks, I said Wikipedia, WikiLeaks is basically today's Pentagon Papers.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this until recently that part of what was released in WikiLeaks were some archives of speeches by Henry Kissinger from 1973 to 76 or 77. I'm thinking to myself, what the hell? How the hell is, even though he is a war criminal, walking around as a free man, how the hell would Henry Kissinger's speeches from the 1970s be considered classified information today?
Yeah.
In relation to the world scene. Why is that classified?
I think they try to slap classified on anything that they don't want you to know about. Even if it isn't classified, they try to say it's classified.
Yeah, and all that was brought out in WikiLeaks were things that we already knew that they were doing. I mean, we already knew that the United States were engaging in torture. We already knew that the United States were doing a lot of cover-ups. I mean, and we knew these things. I mean, these are the basic things that we've known, and I don't know why we should go and when it was common knowledge. I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's just kind of where I stand on that. And
Yeah, we kind of knew that we were getting spied on it from every angle on our electronics. And
absolutely.
Edward Snowden opened that one, let us know about that one.
Yeah, I've been knowing that since the Patriot Act in 2001 that they're keeping an eye on it, on all of us. I mean, it's not like I had inside information. I just figured the United States government had the technical know-how to start doing that, and I figured they were doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sure that they're looking through my emails. I'm sure they're looking through what I surf on the internet. They're probably hearing what I have to say on the phone. Not that I am necessarily subversive, but I think anybody who expresses any radical opinion, it doesn't have to necessarily even be left, could even be on the right. Anybody that the government finds problematic on the left or right, that they're going to go and spy on such a person.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I hate Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm sure the U.S. government probably was spying on that Karen for years.
Yeah, that Karen.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, I hate her, but no, she shouldn't have her Twitter account, her non-congressional Twitter account taken away from her. I told people she just needs to be behind bars, but let her keep her Twitter account, profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was even against when they banned Trump from Twitter.
I was always against banning Trump from Twitter. I mean, in fact, I've said this many times. I hated him on policy, with no question. When it came to policy, I disagreed with Donald Trump on policy 100% across the board.
Yeah.
But damn, I look forward to those mean tweets. Those mean tweets put a smile on my face.
I used to love his press conferences.
Yeah, they were funny as hell. They were funny as hell. I mean, I'll be laughing my ass off. I mean, over those things, and that's the difference between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, because I tell people Ron DeSantis may look like a normal politician, but he's more dangerous than Donald Trump. I tell him it's basically he's more dangerous than George W. Bush, who I view as the worst president we ever had. He's more dangerous than George W. Bush on policy, but similar to George W. Bush on policy. He's also everything that's true and untrue that the liberals have against Donald Trump. All that's true about Ron DeSantis, and you combine that into one politician, you have Ron DeSantis. So in a nutshell, he's worse than George W. Bush and Donald Trump combined.
Yeah.
And without the comedy show, there's no comedy show. He's a serious politician. So, I mean, at least when Donald Trump was supposed to piss me off on policy matters, the tweets and some of this goofiness kind of, my blood pressure didn't have to go through the roof necessarily like it would normally. Yeah. But I'll probably have a stroke with this Ron DeSantis asshole. I mean, and as much as I despise Joe Biden, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden in 2024 under any circumstances, or Kamala Harris, or any Democrat for that matter. I vote green. I'm planning to vote green. But thing about it is, Ron DeSantis is, he's worse. He's worse than the corporate Democrats. I do admit he is. I mean, as much as I shit on the corporate Democrats all day long, and they're horrible, and they're to be made fun of, they're to be humiliated, they're to be maligned and laughed at and criticized harshly. Ron DeSantis is worse than they are at the end of the day.
So
And that's, but I still don't want, I still am opposed to corporate Democrats.
yeah, he's pretty much the modern day Ayn Rand.
He's basically Pinochet. He's the Augusto Pinochet of Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, I heard some conservative leaning libertarians say he's pro liberty. Where's he pro liberty? He's against marijuana legalization, strike one. He's against people protesting with these anti-protest laws. He's banning books, like there's no tomorrow. He will declare war on any corporation that challenges him, because Disney said that opposed him his "Don't Say Gay" law down in Florida, and he took away the tax exempt status from the Disney corporations. Now, when they allow Disney to be a municipality in 1967, I believe it was, in 67, it was bad to do that to a corporation. But the reason why DeSantis did it was wrong. I mean, you take away their municipality status because it's wrong to grant a municipality to a corporation, but not for the reason that Ron DeSantis wanted to do it. Yeah. He did it for culture war reasons.
Yeah, because he didn't like what they said or something.
Yeah. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene's a hypocrite because she thinks that Disney is promoting or grooming pedophilia and all of that, but she buys stocks. She has stocks for Disney. Yeah, hypocrite.
Yeah,
absolutely. So anyway, is the Green Party on the ballot, or any third parties on the ballot in Ohio right now that you are aware of?
I'd have to look into it. But if there is, I'll probably go out and vote for him. If there is.
They eliminated the Green Party from the ballot here in North Carolina. I'm going to do a video on it probably fairly soon. But
I heard some Democratic establishment hacks came out there and tried to say that the signatures wasn't valid or something.
Yeah, and the State Board of Elections in North Carolina has a board of 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and the 3 Democrats said that they decided to vote on decertifying the Green Party from the ballot, and the 2 Republicans were in favor of keeping the Green Party on the ballot. And we know why the 3 votes were against the Greens, and we know why the 2 votes were for it. But here's the thing about it is that a political party's got a right to exist, and you should think about it. The United States is the only country in the world where you have to go ask permission to the 2 dominant parties. Can we be on the ballot? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, other countries have all different kinds of parties running in their political system.
Yeah, I mean, even Great Britain, which is pretty much a 3-party system, they really have as many as 9 parties in the House of Commons. I mean, there's like 3 parties. You got 3 parties. They're there, but you got maybe an independent party here and an independent party in this constituency, that constituency, and so people are not too worried because they can vote for their particular party and not worry about the spoiler effect as much over there. But and same thing in Canada. I mean, they got like 4, sometimes 5 parties in their in the House of Commons up there, and we're always stuck with just the same 2 shitty parties.
Yeah.
Most frustrating.
Yeah, there was a lady back in 2016 that was running here in my town. She was part of the Justice Democrats, and I, I went and voted for her. She ended up not winning, but she came close though.
Yeah, Democrats around here are pretty bad. When I was in the Socialist Party, we did support a Democrat in the primaries in 2002, a woman named Cynthia Brown, and we were going to support her. She was an activist. She was kind of independent in her way, but she decided to run for the U.S. Senate in the Democratic primaries. And she was an African American woman, ran in the primaries. She had our politics, so the Socialist Party, the Green Party, and all the left organizations were backing her, and she considered herself a socialist. And she was 100% across the board, all the issues. She was great on all the issues and all of that. She did not get the nomination. They gave it to some nerdy guy named Erskine Bowles, who ended up campaigning, apologizing for being a Democrat to the voters in North Carolina in 2002 and again in 2004 when he got the nomination again.
Damn.
And he lost both times, and I mean, he was like one of the worst people. Unfortunately, I ended up voting for him twice because of the lesser evil situation, but I'm never going to do that again because it just makes you feel dirty to vote for somebody who's supposed to be nominally progressive, but they're not even. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, this guy was like, he's one of those Democrats, in my opinion, that was to the right of Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema. I mean, that's the kind of person. He was more of a Joe Lieberman. He's like Joe Lieberman with a Southern accent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty bad. Yeah.
I can't believe I was actually back when John Kerry ran for president. I can't believe I actually supported him.
Don't feel bad about it. I didn't vote for John Kerry in that election, but I wanted to, but I didn't because I was in the Socialist Party USA, and I voted for our candidate, which I'm looking back in hindsight, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
But John, I wanted the party not to run a candidate that year because I was like, let's get rid of George W. Bush. Because the way that these pink pussy hat liberals were acting with regard to Donald Trump getting elected in 2016, I acted that way when George W. Bush was president. I even now I despise George W. Bush. I'm still despise George W. Bush more than any other president we have ever had.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to sit there and call Liz Cheney a wonderful person just because she's correct on the question of the January 6th insurrection, saying it was a bad thing to happen. Duh. We all know January 6th, those clowns were assholes. We know that. But we know that, but I'm not going to sit there and want to sing Kumbaya with Liz Cheney for it. You can hate Marjorie Taylor Greene and hate Liz Cheney at the same time. It's okay. There's no either or. You can hate them both.
Yeah.
And I do.
Yeah, what drives me nuts is all these celebrity talk shows and stuff that tries to normalize people like George W. Bush and Liz Cheney.
Oh, absolutely.
They're all a bunch of freaking war criminals, and they need to be in prison for war crimes.
Mark my words. I made this joke in the past, but mark my words. You remember the photo up of Michelle Obama hugging George W. Bush affectionately?
Oh yeah.
Somebody doctored it up and had a picture. They took George W. Bush's head off and put Donald Trump's head in there. Him being hugged by Michelle Obama.
Yeah,
and that was funny enough. But I one up that. What I think is going to happen with a Ron DeSantis or Tom Cotton being president or somebody nutty like that, I think that I could see a scenario where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Donald Trump are embracing each other against this right-wing menace in the White House. Whether it's President Marjorie Taylor Greene or President Ron DeSantis or President Tom Cotton or Ted Cruz or what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that happening as a scenario.
Just so I don't sound like a partisan hack, I think Bill Clinton should be in prison too for war crimes.
I tell people that Bill Clinton was the man that turned me into a socialist. Yeah. And they'll be like, I knew it. And I'm like, no, not the way y'all think he's turned me into a socialist. I said, because Bill Clinton, when he took over the Democratic Leadership Council in the late 80s, early 90s, that Democratic Leadership Council Reaganized the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And I knew that Bill Clinton was a fraud when I was in my 20s. In my 20s, when around 1994, I realized Bill Clinton was a fraud. And I just decided, I'm going. I mean, I was flirting with socialism prior to that, but I was like, no, I am a fucking socialist. So I became officially a socialist. I joined a new party, then I ended up in the Socialist Party USA, and then I don't know where I'm at right now. I'm pretty much an independent socialist, but right now as we speak. But I tell people, Bill Clinton made me a socialist, because Bill Clinton, instead of governing the way Democrats are supposed to govern in an FDR tradition, he governed like Reagan light.
Yeah.
I didn't vote.
Same way with Barack Obama. He's the one that changed my political views.
I didn't trust Obama from day one. When Hillary Clinton accused him of being for single payer, he denied it. I'm like, okay, he actually did one time say it was for single payer, but he denied it like it's something to be ashamed of. If he's doing that now, I know he's going to throw progressives under the bus, and he did just that all 8 years during his presidency. So I just couldn't do it. I voted for Ralph Nader in that election in 2008. Just couldn't do it. I just could not vote for Obama. I have not voted for a major party candidate for president since 1992. I did vote for Bill Clinton in 1992, but I've been voting third party since starting in 1996 till 2020. I have been voting third party all the way, and that's going to remain.
What really put the nail in the coffin for me with Barack Obama is in 2020, he pretty much made a phone call and told everybody to get behind Joe Biden during the primary, when the primaries are almost over.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There was a lot of cheating going on there. And I get so mad when people tell me Bernie Sanders wasn't cheated. Yes, he was cheated. He was cheated in 2016. He was cheated in 2020. And I'm trying to move beyond what happened in 2020. I'm more mad at 2020 than I am in 2016.
Yeah.
Because Bernie dropped the knee quicker, bend the knee quicker toward Joe Biden. And okay, maybe COVID can be an excuse. Okay, you could stop campaigning, but you should have actually just officially kept your campaign going on. You could have done it on Zoom. You could have done it that sort of way. He could have just taken it to the convention and been contentious as fuck. But he did not want to go in. He did not want to go and offend his good friend Joe.
Yeah.
And maybe I will understand one thing about him. I mean, you compare Joe Biden to Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I can understand Joe Biden seems less hateful than Hillary Clinton, demeanor-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like the old grandpa you can't dislike. I mean, although I dislike Joe Biden. But I mean, on the surface, you look at him, he's like the old gentle grandpa. And Hillary Clinton is a cackling cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we gotta be careful though, talking about the 2020 election though on YouTube.
No, I mean,
they might yank your video down.
Well, I'm not worried about that. I mean, I do believe that Joe Biden legitimately beat Donald Trump. But but here's the thing. the Donald Trump supporters acted a hell of a lot worse than the Hillary Clinton supporters in 2016. Yeah, they deserve to be made fun of in 2016, acting the way they did. I mean, their little meltdowns and their whining and crying was embarrassing to look at. I cringed watching that. I mean, I'm like, y'all crying over this bitch, you know? And then I'm like, and then these Trump supporters, I'm like, y'all gonna go storm the Capitol for this billionaire piece of shit? You know, I mean, for a billionaire who really could give a damn about you. I mean, so, and both of them are rich as fuck. Neither of them will ever have anything to worry about financially. And so you got these dumbasses that did what they did on January 6th, and a lot of them are going to get in trouble. Some of them I feel sorry for, because some of them, even some of them who are a little bit loud and obnoxious and wear the MAGA hat and they beat their chest how much they simp for Donald Trump, they're probably otherwise harmless and just loud. I mean, they went there and they got excited and they followed the crowd into the Capitol, and maybe for them, maybe a misdemeanor and a fine should be given, because they technically broke the law. But those that were like really involved, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and people like that, Paul Gosar and some of the others that were involved with the Stop the Steal crowd that were actually planning the insurrection, some serious jail time for them. I think they were a little too harsh on the QAnon shaman guy. I mean, the guy's loopy, Yeah,
there's no comparison, but back in 2016 when the Clintons did lose, it did kick off the whole Russiagate conspiracy for the next 4 years.
I mean,
like I said, there's no comparison, but
that Russian conspiracy theory thing, I just refute it all day long. I still refute it. I mean, I've been accused of being pro-Russian for saying that. I mean, no, I got problems with the Russian government. I mean, they mistreat the LGBTQ community. That's enough to criticize Vladimir Putin on. I'm not particularly keen on evangelical Christians, but they pick on evangelical Christians in Russia because the Russian Orthodox Church hates the competition. There are things about Russia that bothers me. They're authoritarian. There's an authoritarian government today. I don't like authoritarianism, but Ukraine, they got fucking Nazis in their government. They got fucking Nazis in their military. Are they any better? I mean, they're really not.
Yeah.
I mean, I refuse to put a Ukrainian flag on any of my bios online. I mean, the only way you're going to ever see a Ukrainian flag on any of my bios, I'll have a Ukrainian flag with a Russian flag as an expression of goodwill between the two countries. That'll about to be the only way. Other than that, I'm not going to go and I'm not going to put either flag up there for starters. But
Yeah, I feel bad for both countries, their citizenry.
Yeah. And I've said this before. You and I are in the same age group, roughly. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you are. I know that, but we both remember the Cold War, and we both know what it was like to live with the fact that if the Soviets and the Americans decided to push that button, what it could mean for civilization. And
when they told us to get up under our desk in a nuclear blast.
But now I'm having memories resurface in my head that I almost forgot about living in the 1980s and even in the 70s when I was considerably younger. When I understood the concept of what it was like to live with the prospects of what could happen if the inevitable happened. If we saw a couple of little mushroom clouds being exchanged around between Russia and the United States. Well, Russia and the United States and Europe for the most part, and maybe a few other countries spread around the world. I mean, it may not exterminate human civilization, but it certainly would. It would certainly wipe out, at the very least, several hundred million, if not a couple of billion people, and the rest of the population. You'll have probably several hundred million additional, if not a couple of billion extra people suffering from cancer, and then you're going to have the rest of them who are suffering from starvation and poverty because food supply, and it would just crash a lot of economies of countries that they're not environmentally affected. I mean, it's just a horrible scenario of what nuclear war, even in places where the radiation would not reach. There'll be other kinds of effects, economic effects, and societal collapse.
Yeah.
And you got to live with that possibility again.
It's like back during Pearl Harbor, was it Japan that did that? We ended up setting off a big atom bomb in their country.
Oh, Nagasaki, and yeah, oh yeah, that's the thing. We get mad at other countries for developing a nuclear weapons program. I don't like any country developing it. So I'm not, when people say, "Oh my God, Iran could get a nuclear weapon," I don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. I don't want the United States having a nuclear weapon either. I don't want any country to have it. But here's the thing: the United States was the only country that actually used one. I mean, no other country, even bad countries, they haven't used it.
Yeah, a few people I've talked to in my life. We get on the subject of war and politics. They pretty much say that Japan deserved what they got with that atom bomb, and I disagree, because the citizens of that country has to suffer through what their leaders did. So yeah.
It was horrible. I mean, it was horrible what we did to that was actually worse than what we did domestically to the Japanese here, and it was bad enough. The internment camps. The internment camps weren't anything like what the Germans did to the Jews and the other people in the concentration camps. It was not to that level, but still, you took a whole group of people in the United States, collected them, and put them in a camp, and talking about people who did not support the government of Japan. And would have probably served proudly in the military if, otherwise. But people were scared of the Japanese in this country at that time.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny, but not really. Have you ever seen some of the old Popeye cartoons from the 1940s, where there's like Japanese the way they exaggerate the caricatures of the Japanese people during the war?
I don't think I ever seen those. I have to check.
It's fucking racist as hell.
No.
Yeah, with the slant eyes and the big teeth, and you look at it as a kid. You're not necessarily racist against it, and you're recognizing it's like, oh, they're trying to make it point clear that that's a Japanese person, but really it's viciously racist when you think about it.
Yeah,
it doesn't come across at first when you think about it, but then that's a different time, that's a little bit disturbing, to go to that level. I'm not being woke saying that. I'm just saying, on one hand, it's comically funny, on how cartoonishly ignorant it is, but
Yeah.
on the other hand, it's really fucked up.
I don't think you're advocating for canceling it all out.
No, I wouldn't. No,
Yeah,
that I wouldn't do. That I
yeah,
wouldn't do.
yeah.
Um,
What I find messed up is the cartoons they used to make back in the Jim Crow days. I've seen a few of those.
there's a Tom and Jerry cartoon where he's presumably a housekeeper. You don't really see her, but you always see her legs, her
Yeah,
dress, and he's talking in an African dialect. And that was when I was growing up, even on into the early '80s with Tom and Jerry cartoon. You'll hear that dialect, but you watch it now, that dialect is gone, and now she's got a proper British accent. I mean, it's just kind of like, whoa, that's a change.
oh, they did a voiceover and changed the voice in it.
Yeah, to a British accent. I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So she sounds like a proper British woman. I mean, I'm like, wow. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, and I understand, and I understand the original Aunt Jemima logo. I understand how offensive that was, and it was the right thing to do to switch it over to the new image where they had, obviously a financially well off, elegant, black woman who, like a white woman would be cooking for her family in the kitchen,
Yeah,
so that was fine, but then they decided to get rid of that. I'm like, I didn't think that last logo was particularly racist, but maybe I'll get in trouble for saying that. But now they took the name Aunt Jemima out and call it the Pearl Milling Company.
huh?
Yeah.
Only thing that drives me nuts about that, where they remove labels and figures off of boxes and stuff.
Land O'Lakes, they got rid of the Native American woman.
Yeah,
What's offensive about that Native American woman?
yeah, it's like I wish these people that does this stuff would turn around and try to figure out a way to enact change through the government or something to help fix racism.
Yeah, there's ways to fix racism. Get rid of the death penalty. Make sure that the cops are trained not to go racially profiling. And
Yeah,
I mean, and even though I don't like the body cameras in a lot of ways, I do think it would be necessary to use those body cams. Well, actually, they are using them, and they're still blasting away. Unfortunately, blasting away a lot of minorities. And I get so tired of hearing people say, oh, well, if they go and just obey the law, nothing will happen. No, that's bullshit. Yeah, if you're pulled over, no matter what color you are or whatever, you're being pulled over, I mean, do what you can to try to get out of the bad situation. Hopefully the individual police officer would take pity on you and give you a warning or what have you, no matter who you are. I'm sure there's that situation, even if the driver is black. I'm sure that's happened. But there's a lot of times where the white cop is looking for a reason to go and start some shit. And all of a sudden he's just waiting. And then you see it on camera, pow, 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 pow. And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
yeah.
And then they end up getting away with it.
It's like a while back. There's a video I seen where they opened fire on somebody in a freaking wheelchair.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And all of that. So yeah, there's ways to solve the racism problem. A criminal justice reform, work on serious criminal justice reform, to put some serious teeth into criminal justice reform, to make damn sure that this police brutality is put to a complete stop. I mean, and it's amazing how much of a how much excuses they make for, like, like Derek Chauvin putting his knee on the throat of George Floyd. There was no reason to do that.
Yeah, there's no reason for that.
And then those cops down in Uvalde, down in Texas, they want us to respect the cops and everything. What the fuck did they do? They just stuck around. They were being little pussies, being scared of somebody going out there blasting people away. And so they didn't do a damn thing. I mean, and so you have people needlessly dying as a result. And just and it's gotten so that the shootings are just, it doesn't even face you anymore.
Yeah.
Oh my, another shooting. Okay, that sucks, and your life goes on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so is there anything else you want to share, or?
I think I'm good.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to take care of a few things. So, I guess that right now we'll probably just conclude with this. And Darrell, if you ever want to come back on here, just ask me, and we can work on having you back if you like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for it.
And next week we'll have next Wednesday we're going to have Josh Bradley. Who's running for city council in Raleigh, so he'll be a guest on this show. So so they'll just thought I'll let you know, and that should be probably at 7:00 next Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I enjoyed that interview you did with that one guy that's running in North Carolina.
Matthew Ho.
Can't believe his name keeps slipping my mind.
Matthew Ho. Yes. He and it was a small world. We know some of the same people, so it's just kind of like, wow. Because that was really cool to find out that we need the same people, local activist wise and everything. So
yeah. Did you guys ever get a chance to meet up?
Yeah, he lives over there in the Winston-Salem area. I live here just outside of Raleigh. It's like about 2.5 hour difference. So I may, next time in that direction, I may got his number and everything. So I'll probably give him a call or something.
Yeah. He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, and I hope that the Green Party gets their ballot line back, because I want to register green and I want to vote green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, everyone. Let's, before we let you go, Darrell, we always do the chat line thing here. So we have here Hot Retarded Chicks. She says here, oh my fucking God, is man Kyle Mueller. Let's see. We have here Al Tyrell. Maybe weight class would be better for some sports than gender. Michael Ryan writes, dirtbag leftist laughing out loud. Let's see. We got Artie Rezv. I can never pronounce that name. I'm so sorry, Artie. My man. Great interview. I know this guy. Barry Motiva says, you must sing Kumbaya. You must. Maybe if I'm drunk next time. Let's see. I'm too sober to sing right now. So anyway, so that'll kind of be it for the program. If you all like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel as the First Amendment absolutist. It's my duty to inform you to create your own platform, utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and remember to always reject corporate media, because they do not have anything value to offer to any of us. And go ahead, give Darrell a sub. I will be putting down just shortly after I signed off here, I will be within minutes putting down his channel. So subscribe to his channel. Help make his channel grow too. So until next time, everyone, take care. Darrell, you have a great evening. Okay.
You too. This inspired me to make more content for my channel.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, I haven't done so in a while. I'm going to start putting some content up there.
Oh, and by the way, I want to thank Darrell because my channel enhanced in the last year because of Darrell. I got the software it would take to do the channel that I'm doing now. So he told me what I needed to do to go about doing this. So that's what I'm doing. So
no problem, man. You're spreading the truth.
I appreciate that. All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.